Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Gentlemen, good to see you. And Secretary, just thank you for recognizing we do have one of the lowest effective rates for severance tax in the country. It's always good news to have low tax rates. Colleague of mine wanted me to ask, he's not on an appropriations committee, so he wanted me to ask about dam safety and waterway management annual dam fees. Apparently, a couple of his local lakes got letters from the department on collecting annual registration fees. The failure to submit the annual registration fee by July 1st each year may result in temporary suspension of the dam permit or waiver, and in order to begin draining the reservoir of the dam, fee increases to the tune of category size, I guess, in his particular lake, $1,500, $19,000, $12,000. Letter of amendment or authorization review fees, additional $8,700 for a major project, additional $1,000 for a minor project. And they're having some issues with, I guess there's a section that requires them to add the department in some way as taking over control if something doesn't happen. I don't know if you have the answers now, but if you...
Well, I would be happy to do a deeper dive with you, but what I would just say, Representative, is that we revised Chapter 105 of our Dam Safety and Waterways Management Regulations in 2013. It was the result of an audit, a performance audit by Auditor General Jack Wagner, and we instituted annual registration fees for certain dam classifications. We revised or created fees for dam safety activities like application fees, letters of amendment, transfer of permits. We have received pushback. Again, these are 3 or 2-year-old fees. We've received some pushback from the operators, but these reflect the cost of administering the program.
And he wanted me to ask what statutory language allowed the department to do this. I'm sure it's an old one since it's been in there for a little while.
I'm going to ask Deputy Secretary Ongst.
At the Dam Safety and Encroachments Act.
Okay, all right. Thank you, gentlemen. Wasn't really my issue, so I hope I did my colleague do justice on that. We heard a lot about the severance tax, and I'm trying to wrap my head around how it all is kind of working. So the governor's proposing a severance tax to fund education, put the money towards education by $1 billion to fund the Obama education cuts. We heard testimony from McNulty, Acting Secretary McNulty, that we're looking at about $165 million this fiscal year. Now we're pulling money out of that for a $55 million bond for a debt service of $165 million to subsidize alternative energy by taxing Pennsylvania industry. Now, the governor said he's not going to pick winners or losers. It's a pretty big shift of taxing an entity and giving that money to another industry. It's really not matching up to me. So can you help clarify that?
Well, I can't give you, I won't give you a long dissertation on tax policy because that's not my portfolio, but what I would say is the governor has proposed a comprehensive economic development package that includes a portion, $225 million for alternative energy. It's part of a much bigger economic stimulus, economic development proposal that is completely appropriate, very consistent with past approaches in terms of the growing greener idea, and it is all in the context of a fundamental tax shift and tax reform that the governor has proposed to significantly cut business taxes, complete the elimination of the capital stock and franchise tax, cut the corporate net income tax by 40% this year and another 10% next year, $3 billion worth of property tax relief across the state that will lower property tax bills by half on average across the state. So it's a fundamental and comprehensive approach to reforming the way Pennsylvania conducts its fiscal operations.
I get it. We've been kind of debunking that throughout the entire process here. But I just have a big problem with taking an industry that is growing jobs, bringing in revenue, taxing them, pushing them out of the state, taking their money, and then wrapping around and giving it to other people. I just think it's bad economic policy. I don't think we're going to drive economic sustainability through that. So I appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Representative, I do want to say, though, that this tax, as proposed by the governor, is not driving anybody anywhere. The industry will not leave the most productive resource on earth, because where would they go? To another state that already has a severance tax higher than what the governor's proposed.
Thank you.